Hello, welcome to another edition of Bangkok Thought Leaders. I'm here today with one of Bangkok's true thought leaders, Ian Pascoe, CEO and Managing Partner of Grant Thornton here in Thailand. Ian, thank you for being with me today.
Great to be here.
So it's unusual for you to be on the other side of the desk. Usually you're the host with the most.
I'm feeling quite a bit low, David, today.
Well, Ian, you've been here in Thailand for almost 25 years with Grant Thornton in Thailand. You must have seen so many changes in that time.
Oh yes. I guess I arrived in the aftermath of Tom Yum Goong with an exchange rate of 56, interest rates then at around about 17%. Since that time, I guess we've had a low of about at 27, and interest rates falling to virtually nothing. But I guess that's on that economic front. From itself, Bangkok has changed enormously.
In what ways have you seen it change?
Well, the skyline for starters. I think every month we seem to get a new hotel and another condominium block and another office block, and we've got another whole city being built down the road. I think it's moved from a business perspective. I've seen Thai businesses are very different now in that they are much more outward looking. When I was first here, it was almost unheard of for any Thai business to invest offshore. I think CP into China was probably that was the big thing. That was the first one that was really going outside. Now I think if you look at the figures, there's more investment by Thai companies outside the country than inside the country.
Half the English Premier League.
Yes, well, that's right. We have bought
the Premier League,
teams
the city,
cities, and what else? All sorts of things we've been buying. Obviously, new airports and the whole air travel has changed enormously. Thais are travelling a lot more. People are travelling more here. The cost of going in, I won't include the last couple of years because that's obviously been, and as you know, I've been involved with some of the airlines. It's been a disastrous time. But the mobility, the amount of people that actually move now, that are travelling, people with passports, people with credit cards, it's become much more international. Everyone used to be much more focused on an agrarian economy. The amount of people actually that are deriving money from that agrarian economy now is virtually nothing compared to the services being offered, the amount of people setting up their own businesses. I mean, all our staff are leaving to go and set up a trading business and working on laptops in the Starbucks. It's very, very different economy. I guess one case in point, I think when I arrived there was maybe 3, possibly 4 Italian restaurants in Bangkok, I think.
Okay.
I think I got 3 or 4, I think. And I think there's something like 380 in Bangkok now, and that's just Italian. You think of everything else that's there. It's much more cosmopolitan. You don't need to bring things in. Everything's available here. So it's changed enormously.
So you'd say the biggest change has been the emergence of the middle class?
That'd be a good way of putting it. It certainly has. There has, but in saying that, there's also been, I think, a much greater disparity between the have and the have-nots in Thailand. I've seen it. It is one of the worst in the world, and I've actually seen that happening. I've seen much, much more concentration of wealth down now. If you any big deal you see is pretty much one of 4, possibly 5 family groups that are doing that now. It's really become concentrated, I think, to scary levels, and hopefully that will change before society makes it change. And when society makes things change, it's never very pretty.
We don't want to get into that one too much.
No.
And you work with clients in all sorts of industries. You mentioned the airline sector, for example. Mm-hmm. As we come out of COVID, what are some of the common challenges you're seeing across industries?
Well, yeah, I mean, businesses have had a hell of a time over the last couple of years. And as we're starting to put COVID behind us, we're now faced with some even much greater challenges. I think businesses are really faced with areas, and I was doing a talk to a group of very young, successful businesses the other day, and they're facing challenges that in their lifetime they've never seen. And I'm particularly coming on to things like inflation and rising interest rates. If you look since Tom Yum Goong, we've pretty much had low inflation low interest rates. Right? And other than a few bumps with a few bird flu, pig flu, SARS, and 2010 red, yellow shirts and the floods, we've generally had it's been pretty prosperous times. A little anemic growth, but it has been growing all the time. And I think that's a challenge that people have never seen before. This, significant inflation coming into bear, and some rising interest rates, and really coupled with both, because both the inflation and the interest, as well as some of the major geopolitical issues that we have, which obviously is some of that's following in the inflation. The inflation's also from a lot of the excesses and the supply chain challenges and all that sort of stuff. But I think these are problems that these guys have never seen before. And I think it's scary for a lot of them. It's really scary.
Another major trend that I've seen Grant Thornton ahead of the curve on is the aging society. I know you guys did a really great campaign recently around insights, and I've never seen that before. Most companies are still focusing on COVID. You got out ahead of that issue. How can businesses understand that issue better and take advantage of the coming trend?
Yeah, I think just on that, I think I likened it a few years ago at one of my talks to the age demographics was sort of a Thai temple where you had the old at the top and the bulk of the people, the younger at the bottom, and now it's sort of gone up into a sort of a bulge, almost looks like a bowl of Mrs. Soup, right? And it is a big challenge. I think people that Thailand is no longer a place where you come, where it's a farm of people, where you've got the resource, human resource and human capital there. It's becoming less and less, and it's going to become a real issue. I think with the birth rates down at sort of 1.4, 1.5 a couple, you don't have to be Einstein to work out that if two people produce 1.5, your population's going down. And I think that's something, again, that it's always been, with the greatest respect, a place where if you've got a problem, you throw more people at it. And we see that a lot. That you don't have the people to throw it. It wasn't necessarily a great strategy anyway.
Yeah, the 12 7-Eleven workers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We need a wall painted quickly, so we'll put 5 people to paint it rather than 2, right? But yeah, it's be facetious, but yes, it's not that abundant workforce is just not there. So that's going to lead, obviously, 2 problems: resources to actually run your business, and who is providing the revenue and the taxes to pay for all these older people, and who's going to look after these older people. But of course, like anything, David, as we know, where there's an issue, there's also a great opportunity, and there is probably some really good opportunities for people who really want to plan ahead and strategically think around some of those issues.
Yeah, well, for those watching at home, do check out this article and series by Grant Thornton. It's fantastic. But to come back to what you said there, I guess there's great opportunities for people who are investing in the aging care society, whether through technology or through housing facilities. There's probably a lot of opportunities there. And I think you're being very modest also here, Ian, with the recommendations, because I remember reading that article and something stood out to me in terms of outsourcing. Mm-hmm. Like the economy of 5 years from now, it's going to be very difficult for people to staff their team. So what I learned from that article, I hope I'm interpreting it properly, is that just focus on the core. Anything that's non-core, you got to outsource that. You got to allow other experts to do it because they've got the manpower, they're specializing. So you focus on your widgets and building your company, whether it's outsourcing or marketing or whatever it might be, you got to outsource that.
Yeah, it's because I guess it's been a trend for businesses that always will, I need an accounting department, I'll build an accounting department. I need a marketing department, I'll build that. I need suppliers, I'll go and buy them a supplier. And really, that's a distraction from what is your core business and as critical. I'll stick to your knitting, right? What do you know best? I mean, there's some that would say a company should be just IP, a board of directors, and some very senior management, and outsource the risk because someone is going to do it better, right? Who's specialised in that. There's also people who have the economies of scale and they can actually scale up on that. You're de-risking your business because someone else is taking the risk, particularly in inflationary times. Someone else can take the risk on rising prices, rising wages, new technology. The outsourcer's got to find all that. Yep. So yes, in this is inflationary times, and with the aging population. Outsourcing is a fantastic thing. Thank you for guiding me down there.
I think it's just one example of how Grant Thornton does guide us all as business people, though. I think one great example of that was during COVID. I remember during COVID, everyone had the same pain point, like, where do we go from here? How do we survive as a business? And I think you particularly did a really great job of helping people understand it, because it's very complicated, right? Do we restructure? Do we refinance? Do we re-strategize? Too complicated for a simple marketing man. But the content you made during COVID, it was very bold. It was very different. Like, you took a really strong stance on personal branding. I saw you as a weatherman, as a news host, and as a sports a clown. you did all sorts of different. I think as Robin Hood at one point for a work event.
Yes.
So, first of all, like, why did you choose to take such a bold positioning on your executive branding? Because you really do stand out in the newsfeed.
One of it, I guess, David, is to enjoy and for fun. I've always liked entertaining a little bit too, right? Maybe that's followed in my daughter. My daughter's becoming an actress. But yeah, I think it doesn't matter how serious the point is. It doesn't matter whether you're talking to your people or you're talking to senior people. There's a way of talking to people, and there's a way to make it entertaining, both for you and for them. And we all got to be individual. And I did see so much sort of mundane. We'll have another webinar, and people got sick of that. We had to do something different to differentiate. Have a look. There's some important messages, but watch it, because if you know it yourself, if you particularly when you're sitting at home, there's so many things to see, there's so much to watch, so much to read. So if you want people to read it and you want to get messages, you got to make it different and have fun. And if you're having fun, you do a lot more of it, right? It doesn't become a burden. Look, you talk about the ones with the staff, the Robin Hood and a few other. I think I've done Buzz Lightyear. I've done a few other things on stage with my people. That's one, to sort of try and get them into it, have a bit of a laugh, enjoy it, some serious messages. But if it's just the boss standing up there in a suit and tie, David, they probably don't really listen.
For sure. But I think just to summarize what you said about the executive branding there, I think there's so much content, and so much B2B content is so boring. It's very dry, it's very serious, and people forget that we're just talking to humans. If you make it interesting, it's much more likely to succeed, and the insights were really deep. So thank you for guiding us all through that. Final question, Ian. Again, taking a different direction here. You yourself are a great storyteller. You're entertaining, you guide us as your audience, but who are some of your favorite storytellers?
You're not bad yourself, David, by the way.
Thank you, Ian. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think anyone. I mean, I think Richard Branson is really. I mean, he's inspirational, but he also tells stories. I think those sort of people. When people come to telling, business people about things, I think people need to actually think back. Who do they listen and why do they like them? And most of it is story. But yeah, I think Richard Branson's probably one of the best storytellers I've seen. Very close to yourself, though, David.
Thank you very much, Ian. Okay, so Ian, thank you for your time. And for those of you watching at home, do follow Ian on LinkedIn. He's posting very regularly with great content. And do check out the Grant Thornton website for more about outsourcing and a lot of insight into coming trends. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Dad.